Good afternoon. Welcome to Bloomerang Academy and thank you so much for joining us. Today we're talking about Giving Tuesday Now and how you can use Bloomerang to help make the day go smoothly for you and for your donors.
Joining us today are Jessica Hartnagel, our VP for Product Management. Say hi, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Jessica has a ton of experience consulting for the nonprofit world, so we're very happy that she is with Bloomerang and helping our customers. Also joining us today is Roxie Morris, our Mobile Product Manager. Say hi, Roxie.
Hey, everybody.
So Roxie has been at the helm of our recently released iOS mobile app. So thank you so much to Roxie and your team. And Roxie's going to share with us a little bit about how you can use the mobile app, if you have it, to help with your Giving Tuesday efforts as well. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jessica.
Thanks so much, Diana, and thank you to all of you for joining us today. We are really excited to have you spending an hour of your day with us and are excited about this topic, Giving Tuesday Now. I know that there's a lot going on, but we want to help you to feel empowered when it comes to really using the resources that you have available to you, using your Bloomerang database, using all of the information that's out there to help your organization and your mission at this point in time, because we know now it's probably more important than ever that we all stay afloat, that we all continue to serve the people that we can, and to just try to do whatever we can to secure our futures. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get us started with what we plan on covering for today, which, as Diana mentioned, is a hybrid of using your normal Bloomerang database with our new iOS app for those of you who have Apple devices. So with that, we're going to cover how you can reach out and connect with your donors and volunteers to engage them in the Giving Tuesday Now efforts. We're also going to take a look at the online giving channel and what you need to do to get that up and running for your organization. And if you are already using online donation forms, showing you how to create a specific online donation form and online campaign for Giving Tuesday Now. Making sure that you're putting all the tools in place that you need to keep your donations and your donors' information safe. So fraud prevention, of course, with the increased online activity, is going to be so much more important than ever before. We're also going to show you how to use our Twitter listening hub to capture any mentions of your organization throughout the Giving Tuesday Now campaign. And then we can't forget how important it is to thank our supporters. So getting a little bit into the best way to go about that, not just after the fact with a standard maybe thank you process that you would use, but some different and unique ways of thanking people during the Giving Tuesday Now campaign. And then, yes, our mobile app, showing you the best way to utilize that and how you can really leverage it to be successful with management during Giving Tuesday Now and after. We also will have some additional resources for you at the end of the presentation to help you as you're navigating the next couple of weeks. So here we go. First, I just wanted to make sure to get out of the way and mention that this class is more focused on how to use Bloomerang and the Bloomerang tool set that you have available to you to support your Giving Tuesday Now efforts, and is not the comprehensive A to Z plan for marketing. So we will touch on some ideas, but definitely touch base with the appropriate people at your organization for the cadence and the communication plan that you want to put in place, because there are things outside of Bloomerang that you will want to do in conjunction with different things within Bloomerang, and you want to make sure that everyone's working together. So Giving Tuesday Now is on May 5th. So it's just a couple weeks away now. But with that, you still have time to really get your arms wrapped around this big day of global support. And so, yeah, what is Giving Tuesday Now? Let's talk about that for a minute. Giving Tuesday Now is meant to be a global day of unity, and it was contrived based on the response to COVID-19 and just knowing how much nonprofit organizations need support now more than ever before. Whether you're frontline providing services or whether you are having to temporarily close your doors, everyone is essential and everyone is in need of support. And so this day is for all of you. And Giving Tuesday Now, being a global day of giving, a global day of unity and gratitude, is something that we can all really get behind. It's sponsored by the organization that leads the Giving Tuesday right after Thanksgiving. And if we think about the reason that Giving Tuesday was created initially, it was designed to be after Thanksgiving when there's just that sense of gratitude that people are feeling. And so even if you don't necessarily feel comfortable asking for additional financial support right now, you can use it as a day just to celebrate your donors and just to celebrate how grateful you are for what you've been able to do in the past. And but just making sure that you use the social media channels, the tools that we're going to show you to really collaborate with all of the people who are supporting your organization, all of your donors, all of your loyals, all of your supporters, to give them the opportunity to celebrate you and to celebrate everything that they're passionate about. So it was really designed to encourage nonprofits to take a day out of the year to celebrate everything about the organization and about the donors who's supporting the organization. So a day of gratitude, a day of generosity, and an opportunity for you to tell your story, to cultivate donors if that's what your organization decides to do, and to just really build momentum around your mission. So just some statistics from Giving Tuesday over the years. We've seen just such tremendous response since 2012 when Giving Tuesday first took place. In online giving, they've been tracking it since 2012, and we can see how much it's grown. So this information is coming directly from the Giving Tuesday organization. And for 2019, we were at almost $500 million is what nonprofits raised last year on a single day with the Giving Tuesday initiative. And last year was the first time that they tracked the offline donations. So, there's definitely an emphasis played on online giving and just the online channels for communicating with people for Giving Tuesday. And I mean, we saw over 20 billion social media impressions on Giving Tuesday 2019. So I don't want to minimize the vehicles that are used for Giving Tuesday and that support it. Our Giving Tuesday also saw that last year there was a tremendous amount of offline support that came in. So if you know that your donors are more likely to respond to a traditional like letter appeal or mail piece, direct mail appeal, direct mail appeal, then by all means use what you have available to you in the Bloomerang toolkit to create that specific appeal letter for Giving Tuesday Now, just like you would for Giving Tuesday. So Bloomerang, in fact, wanted to share a few statistics with you on what we saw as our results for Giving Tuesday in 2019. So if you're on the fence of, does Giving Tuesday work? Does it really increase support among donors? And is this the right time for my organization to get involved? the reason that we're sharing some of this information with you and showing you these statistics is because we're seeing, like I said, a tremendous amount of support from donors of the organizations who decide to participate. So we saw overall for Giving Tuesday what that looked like for Bloomerang customers specifically. We saw a 45% increase in our Giving Tuesday results last year from the year before. So over $1.8 million came in online, and that was just through online last year for Bloomerang customers in one day. So with that, if you want to get started, you have to make a plan. Again, it's not too late, so you have time to do this. Your plan is up to you and your organization, what you're comfortable with, and it can look or take a variety of forms. So it could include fundraising. Maybe it's a time for just social awareness and just telling your story through the various social media channels, through emails, through letters, if you feel like that's appropriate. And some organizations take it as an opportunity to really show gratitude for their donors, and in the form of a thankathon, calling a donor every hour, or calling several donors, as many donors as you can in a single way, leveraging volunteers maybe who are kind of feeling like they don't know what they can do right now to help, engaging them, and maybe you're bored to reach out, and it's the perfect opportunity. You can explain, as you're reaching out, that it's a day of gratitude among the nonprofit community, and that you just wanted to express your thanks and your gratitude for their support, whether it's been financial support or just being an ambassador of the organization. Of course, there are a lot of live streaming tools that are available out there right now, and we've seen a lot of our partners focus to being able to provide newer tools to help during the current climate with connecting with donors in a way that maybe they're not typically used to, but it's really working. So just decide who you're gonna focus on. It may not be every type of donor or every type of constituent, maybe a certain segment. Maybe it's a day that you're going to show appreciation to your volunteers or to a certain group of people within your organization, and just stick to that plan and move forward with it. So how can Bloomerang really help you during Giving Tuesday now and all of your efforts? First, we're going to talk about how you can prepare. So the things that we're mentioning are kind of in order of how we would recommend you approaching them based on the amount of time that it could take to get them set up. So the first thing we wanted to touch on are our partner integrations that currently exist. So if you have thought about, are interested in, or are currently or have in the past run peer-to-peer giving campaigns, again, now could be a great opportunity to do that again or for the first time. Like we just mentioned, there are a lot of volunteers who want to help in some way, but they don't know how. And so allowing them to participate and be an ambassador for your organization for the Giving Tuesday Now movement is a really good time to engage them and try out how a peer-to-peer campaign might work for your organization. So up here, you see the names of a couple different options for peer-to-peer: GiveButter, QGive. There also may be a platform that you use that isn't integrated with Bloomerang, but could be integrated through our new Zapier integration. Whatever it is, we recommend that you get a plan in place for peer-to-peer if that's something that you're interested in doing, so that you have those tools ready to go, and then you can let the volunteers or the people at your who are connected with your organization, you can let them know that this is something that is an initiative of yours. And so with that, these tools also provide, GiveButter and QGive also provide live streaming and virtual events. And those are two great options for connecting with your constituents day of, but tools, again, that you need to make sure that you have in place ahead of time so that you're ready to go on May 5th. If you click on the links in the slides, which you will receive after this webinar, then it will take you to the appropriate places where you can see more information about GiveButter, QGive, Zapier, and you should be able to navigate to the appropriate place to dig into to getting your organization connected to one of those options if you would like. So as far as why peer-to-peer, GiveButter provided us with some of their recent numbers for peer-to-peer and what that has looked like, how successful it has been for some of our customers. So they have seen that on average, each individual peer-to-peer fundraiser is bringing in about 6 to 7 new donors that the organization didn't have before. So that is huge, right? So it's being introduced to people that you may have not been introduced to otherwise, and being able to make a connection, and also seeing that the average peer-to-peer fundraiser raised about $1,300, and that there's been an average of about 43 peer-to-peer fundraisers per peer-to-peer campaign. Now, and then on average, each campaign raised about $58,000. So we can also see here that mobile has played a huge part in supporting the online donation growth. So people, of course, have easy access to their mobile devices and are choosing to use them now more than ever. So just making everything really mobile accessible is super important. Also just wanted to touch on one more thing that's on this slide down here, showing that 93% of donors are covering any of the processing fees associated with online giving and transactions. So we'll dig into that in just a couple minutes when we take a look at our online form builder, but keep that in mind as we look at those options for building online forms. So that's peer-to-peer, that's virtual events. Get connected with the appropriate tools if you're going to choose to do that. But that is not necessary. We have a lot of great tools natively in Bloomerang that can help you, and we'll show you what some of the possible outcomes could be for that as well, and what we've seen with COVID-19 responses so far. So the first thing we're going to do is show you how to go in and create a GivingTuesdayNow campaign in your Bloomerang database, and how to set up an online form specifically for that if that's something that you feel your organization would like to do. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at our campaign settings here. One of the things that I'm going to use as I'm setting up my online forms is a campaign. You can associate an online form with a specific campaign, fund, or appeal. And so I want to make sure to set up a campaign specifically for GivingTuesdayNow. If you want to create a new one from scratch, all you have to do is click New. You type in the name of the campaign, and then you're going to put your goal and your start and your end date there. And I'm going to go ahead and use that as I'm building my online form. The other thing I'm going to do before building my online form is I'm going to go into my form settings area, and I'm going to make sure to turn on Google Recaptcha to help prevent any type of fraud on my online donation form. So this will literally take you a matter of minutes. So just a few minutes to go in and sign up for a Google Recaptcha account. Once you sign up for your Google Recaptcha account, you can take the site key and the secret key in that account and copy and paste them from Google Recaptcha directly into Bloomerang. Turn on check these check boxes, and click Save. And then that will provide extra security for your donors and for you with any sort of online fraudulent activity that could be taking place with the increased online traffic. The other option that we have here is rate limiting. And what this means is that if there is a spammer who's using the same IP address, and so they're essentially trying to process donations on your online donation forms over and over and over again, it's going to limit it to, I believe, 10 tries. So it will at least limit the amount of impact you could have of fraudulent activity from the same IP address for spammers who are using the same IP address with the fraudulent efforts. Okay, so one more thing that I want to show you to help with prevention purposes on this very high traffic giving day is if you are a Stripe user. So if you have a Stripe transaction processor, you can go in, if you haven't already, and opt into using Stripe's fraud prevention tools and free credit card updates. And it's as easy as going into your Stripe account in Bloomerang and clicking this blue button. Once you click the blue button, it will ask you to enter your Stripe credentials. So whoever at your organization has a Stripe login and password, you'll need that person to enter that information. And as soon as you do that, then you'll be redirected back here and you'll see that you're connected, and that will provide additional security on your online donation form. Stripe Connect, this specific connecting option, will use their what they call radar system and machine learning tools to provide your online form with extra security and fraud prevention techniques. So they also provide, once you select that option, with free weekly credit card updates. So if you have recurring donations in your Bloomerang database, those will be updated automatically with any new credit card details they get for that credit card. So if the expiration date needs to be updated and the credit card companies issue a new credit card with an updated expiration date automatically, Stripe will be able to gather that information and apply that to your credit cards in Bloomerang, as well as if the card is replaced, things like that. So it's complimentary. You don't pay any additional money for those services. So if you have a Stripe account, please go and opt into those additional services that Stripe is now offering Bloomerang customers. Okay, so now getting into online form setup specifically for GivingTuesdayNow. One of the things I like to remind everyone when working with online forms is that if you have an existing online form, so if this was my online form for Giving Tuesday last year and I want to mirror what I did last year for Giving Tuesday now, it's really easy to go in here and select this copy option to create a new online form. So when you do that, it just creates a copy and then you can rename it to whenever you want when you dig in here. So now that I'm in the online form builder, I can go in and see that because I copied it, my processor is already selected, which is great. I definitely want to select a confirmation email that is specific to Giving Tuesday Now. So this is an acknowledgement email. And again, I encourage you to go and create a Giving Tuesday Now thank you email in your Bloomerang email toolkit, which we'll get to in just a couple minutes. But making it feel really personal, as personalized as possible to the Giving Tuesday Now fundraising efforts, I think is really important. Anyone who would like to receive notifications of donations made on Giving Tuesday Now from online donation forms can be added through this email notification section here. So automatically the person who was added when my database was created will receive the email confirmations, but there may be several other people at the organization who would like to receive those emails and then who can use those on the day of as the donation forms are being submitted to help follow up with donors right after the donations are being received. And we'll talk more about that. You may have a specific campaign fund and appeal. Again, we set up our Giving Tuesday Now campaign just a minute ago. So you can use that here. And I encourage you using a campaign to do that so that you can track progress more easily from the dashboard. And also because when you're looking at your overall Giving Tuesday Now success, I think it's really helpful to keep the appeals that you used specific to the different giving vehicles or giving channels. So I'm going to have my online form. I'm going to have my direct mail letter. So creating, keeping those appeals consistent with what you would normally have, and then tracking the amount of money that's raised through a campaign. For recurring donations, you have options to allow the donor to set the frequency. Otherwise, it defaults it to monthly and also to select a start date, I'm going to go ahead and just leave the standard options there, which means that if a donor opts to make a recurring donation, it will automatically be monthly and the first donation will be today. That's what the majority of people select. And I want to, reduce any sort of decision making that needs to happen to help increase conversions of my online donation form to actual donations. This true impact area here, this is what I was just mentioning a few minutes ago about donors covering the transaction fees when processing an online donation or making an online donation. So 93% of donors is what we're seeing as the average for people who will cover the fees. So give them the opportunity to do that. If you don't check this checkbox, the donor will not see the option to cover the processing fees. So at least give them the option. Donation levels and impact statements here. So we have seen that with using impact statements and trying to tell a story with the donor of what their support can do for the people you're serving or for the mission that you are supporting is the best way for getting them to make the donation and to make a larger donation. So we see that, donations are typically larger on forms when impact statements are used versus not. And you don't have to necessarily add, 10 impact statements. That's not the idea here, but giving them just kind of some guidelines on how their support would be applied and how much it would, basically how much support is needed in order to really make an impact and the way that they feel like they want to help. So custom fields, if you can limit the number of custom fields that you're adding for your GivingTuesdayNow efforts, I think that is ideal. You want to get them through the process of submitting an online donation form as quickly and easily as possible. If there are some things that your organization really needs from the donor, then you can add constituent fields or transaction fields to your online donation form, but try to make the process for the donor as quick and easy as possible. All right, so next, Bloomerang is providing you here on this success page with the option to set up what your donor will see when the donation form is submitted. So as soon as they click donate, we provide you with the option to include a page and a message that's specific for your organization that donors will see thanking them. So this is separate, obviously, from the thank you email that we associated in the first step, but really important. Within this page, within this message, you can also include the option for the donor to share that they made a donation using the Twitter and Facebook handles for your organization. So you'll populate this with your Twitter and your Facebook handles and go ahead and allow donors to share. I would encourage turning all of these on for a GivingTuesdayNow form. And then you can also fill in a pre-tweet or message that they can send to their followers on Twitter so that they can share, that they're supporting you. Again, we saw over 20 billion social media impressions on Giving Tuesday 2019. So people are wanting to share on Giving Tuesday, and Giving Tuesday Now isn't going to be very much different, hopefully, from that. If you have a page specifically on your website that you would like the donor to see as soon as they make a donation, you can redirect them to that instead of this built-in Bloomerang success page. So it's up to you. You can use whichever option is best for your organization here. Okay, so then I'm going to go to save and preview, which is the next step. So you can see what the donation form will look like if you put it on your website, which is great. And then I'm going to click this publish option here to show you how easy it is to grab this code snippet and you can paste this very quickly on your website. It just involves copying that and going into the appropriate place in your website, and we have instructions here on how to help you with that. But it should take, less than 5 minutes to do that. The other thing we want to mention is that if you want to create a donation form specifically for Giving Tuesday Now, that's different maybe from the donation form that you have on your website, and you don't want to put your Giving Tuesday Now form on your website, but you do want to share it as you're sending out emails and those types of things, then you can go ahead and click the View Hosted Form option here, because Bloomerang will host a version of the online form for you. You can copy the URL from the hosted version of the form, and you can include that in a button or in a communication to your donors, and that will take them directly to the Giving Tuesday Now online donation form. And you don't even have to get up on your website. So if you're not managing your website, you have somebody else who does that. And, I know that times are a little different right now. So if you can't get changes made to your website, you can still create a Giving Tuesday Now online donation form and have donations captured that way through emails and the other ways that you're communicating with donors. So, if you have any questions about creating an online donation form, I know Diana is helping to answer those now. And if we have time at the end, we will go ahead and cover those. Otherwise, we will get back to you with any questions that you have for setting up online giving forms for Giving Tuesday Now after the class if we can't get to them today. So I'm going to go back here to my slides to make sure we covered everything here. I think we're good. So next we're going to talk about our mass email tools and how they can help you. So I'm really excited to announce, if you didn't see, last week we added a few new templates to our COVID-19 templates area specifically for your Giving Tuesday Now efforts. So if I go to COVID-19 here, I'm going to see these 3 new email templates. The first 2 are designed to basically notify donors, volunteers, whichever people you think are appropriate in your Bloomerang database that your organization is going to be participating in Giving Tuesday Now on May 5th. I think it's very important, and the Giving Tuesday organization also stresses the importance of making your supporters aware that this day is coming. And letting them know how you would like them to participate. So I may send out 3 different emails or 5 different emails to different groups in my database to let them know, hey, we are participating in Giving Tuesday Now. If you're holding a thankathon, you may want to have the call to action or the content in the email for your volunteers. Say, we would love to have you help us in showing gratitude to all of our supporters. Would you be interested in doing that? And giving them, a way to contact you if they're interested in participating in really helping to show gratitude to your donors on Giving Tuesday Now. If you are looking to contact or to reach out specifically to donors who participated in Giving Tuesday 2019, this template is really helpful, and we have a step-by-step guide in the filters area of this template on how to identify those donors and how to connect with them in order to let them know, how much you appreciated their support during the last Giving Tuesday campaign, and also that Giving Tuesday Now is taking place on May 5th, and any way that, they can see themselves supporting you for this, that you would, appreciate it. So there's some starter copy and text in these templates. The day of, you definitely want to make sure that you're communicating. I'm not suggesting at all that you send out 10 emails the day of on Giving Tuesday Now, but definitely sending out a communication at the beginning of the day, and then depending on what the response has been, potentially a second communication partway through the day is is appropriate. So let's go ahead and just really quickly here, click into one of the email templates that we created. And I just want to highlight a couple of features in case you're new to our new email editor. This looks a little bit different, and we have some additional tools that are available in our new email editor that weren't available in our older email editor. And we released this new email editor later last year. So if you're seeing red in any of the templates, this is not meant for, this is not donor facing red text. This is to grab your attention for you to review and to remove and add what's appropriate. So in this one specifically, it's mentioning that we may want to go ahead and include a donation button in this template. I'm going to go ahead and take that out. Also, if you're seeing 3 asterisks, again, that is an indicator that you want to customize it and put something specific for your organization. I recommend reading through the entire template and customizing it for your organization, kind of using this as a direction. Whenever you see an asterisk with the curly brackets, these are merge fields coming from the list of Bloomerang merge fields that you're used to using and seeing if you've used our email editor in the past. But they are displayed a little bit differently here in the new email editor than they were in our previous one. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys quickly how to insert a button. So I'm going to go over to my content area here, and with this new email editor, you're just dragging and dropping and placing it wherever it says drag here. For this button, I'm going to, since my organization is a camp, I'm going to change the text of this button to support a camper. Support a camper today. And then I'm going to put the URL that I copied from the donation form, the Bloomerang hosted donation form just a couple minutes ago. I'm going to paste that right into the URL that this button will take the recipient to. So again, I didn't even need to put the donation form on my website. So this email will go to the specific group of people. They'll be able to click on it and make a donation if that's what they choose to do. One of the other things I wanted to show you is, of course, we've kept our Ahern audit here so that you can check to see what the communication looks like to your donors. But we've added with the new email editor the ability to see the email in desktop and in mobile view. So as we stressed a few minutes ago, we've seen so much more activity occurring through mobile devices, and we want to make sure that the communications from Bloomerang are mobile friendly. And with the new email designer, we are ensuring that for you. So we're going to go ahead then, and I'm going to show you just a couple more things back in, cancel out of here. And an email I've already set up. So I have this call for peer-to-peer volunteers for GivingTuesdayNow email that I've created. And just wanted to show you, as you're going to send out your emails for GivingTuesdayNow, you can go to the preview tab now and see the merge fields populated for each constituent or each recipient who's going to receive the email. My demo database is not behaving for me. In any case, yeah, one of the nice new features about our new email editor is that when you're in the preview step down at the bottom, you are able to see the, there it is, okay. Able to see the merge fields populated. So that was a test record. Let's go here. So I can see here the populated merge fields. So I can just double, triple check that everything looks exactly how I want it to for the recipients of my emails. Okay. Okay, so yes, make sure to send clear steps to act for the different people you're contacting. So if you want them to post an unselfie on social media, you can communicate that in your email. If you want them to donate, give them the option to donate, even if it's not a direct call to action. You can always put that button at the bottom of your email. Oh, the one other thing that's really important to mention is you can include all of your social media handles now in your emails very easily. So I can go down here and again, just drag and drop. I've already done that in this email template, but do it again. And when you click on the box there, you can just add your social media handles there so that anyone who's interested while they're reading the email can support you using one of those social media channels. So make sure to let them know. So one thing that I wanted to share with you that actually was just published this morning on the Agitator, which is a source that I like to follow, is what makes good email, what makes good copy for fundraising. And I think it's important to remember that as you're writing this copy for Giving Tuesday Now emails, for your COVID-19 emails, that if you want to ensure that it stays out of your spam or your recipient's spam or promotional folders, just try to make it feel as human as possible, right? So make it feel like it's coming from a friend, make it sound personal. And there's a whole article about this that's out there, and there's a link to the article here on the slide. But I just wanted to emphasize the importance of that, especially because more than ever, we want to make sure that the emails that we're sending are actually getting to people we're sending them to. Okay, so next we're going to dig into our Twitter Listening Hub. This is a really fun tool that is, I think, going to really help you on Giving Tuesday now if you haven't used it in the past. So it's really easy to set up. Mine is already connected, but you can go in very easily to this configuration tab here and enter your Twitter handle. The other thing that you're going to want to do is enter some hashtags that are unique to your organization. You wouldn't want to enter hashtags that are super general, like hashtag Giving Tuesday Now, because when we come back over here to monitor the tweets that are coming in, we don't necessarily want to see all of the tweets with hashtags for Giving Tuesday Now. We want to see hashtags that are unique or specific for our organization. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a ton of time just digging through all of those. So on the day of, or even before, you can monitor all of the tweets that are being made with the hashtags that you've populated on the configuration tab here. And you can also monitor any tweets that are made with your Twitter handle. As they're coming in, you can see if it's associated with a constituent in your database where you already have a Twitter handle on their constituent record, like you can see here with J Love. You can also see that the engagement level for that constituent. Of course, as the more tweets that a constituent tweets about your organization, that does help increase engagement. Jay tweets a lot about Bloomerang, being one of the co-founders, so that's one of the reasons his engagement level is on fire. But it's a great thing to monitor because you never know who might be talking about you behind the scenes unless you're constantly looking in Twitter and trying to figure that out. And this just makes it so much easier for you. It's also a good way to identify people who are mentioning you, who are talking about you that maybe you didn't know were supporters of yours, or maybe you hadn't made the connection that they're supporting you, but they're not in your database as a constituent yet, and maybe they should be. So being able to go ahead and see who those people are and then attempt to match them to an existing constituent, which is very easy. All you have to do is click Match Constituent. It's going to try to find them for you here. We're saying there are no results found, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new constituent We even try to parse out the first and last names for you. If it's an organization, you can see that it would just be the single name field. And we'll automatically add the Twitter handle for you to their constituent record. And as soon as you click save here, all of the tweets made by that person will be added to that constituent's timeline. So, which is great because, for example, with our J Love record here, we can see that among all the mentions and tweets that we sent an email to him on April 16th. He made a donation on the 17th, and then he's been tweeting about us ever since. So it's great to see how that social media activity is intertwined within the other timeline activities that we're seeing from that donor. And we might be able to glean, what really prompted that person to support us in ways that are outside of like maybe the conventional financial ways of supporting us. So one of the things quickly I wanted to show you is that with the tweets that we're capturing on the timeline, we are also capturing the tweet itself in the note. And if you click on it, it will take you to the tweet in Twitter. So that's always fun to explore as well. And you can, of course, report on Twitter interactions. You can see that we're recording them with a channel of Twitter. So if you ever wanted to run a report on all of the tweets that are being captured, you can do that in our reporting tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to talking about a couple of other things. So one of the things that I wanted to stress is, I know that I've already thrown a lot of information your way about things that you could potentially be doing on Giving Tuesday now. We have seen emails as a really effective way for helping our organization's fundraising efforts during COVID-19. So if you have not sent a COVID-19 or a crisis email to your constituents yet, use Giving Tuesday Now as an opportunity for that. For our customers who sent COVID-specific or crisis-specific emails in March, we saw that their revenue compared to last March was 30% higher than the previous year. For our customers who sent emails but did not mention COVID or the current crisis that we're all experiencing, there was about a 20% decrease in revenue between March last year and March this year. And that for customers who didn't send any emails, that there was about a 20% decrease in revenue. So please, please, please communicate with your constituents, get information out there about what you're doing during this time, how they can support you. People want to help, they love you. We're also seeing, that online is such a, important way of offering them an opportunity to support you. Online revenue was up 67% this March than it was the previous March. So for customers who were using Bloomerang in both years, we of course wanted to make sure to compare apples to apples there. So on the day of and the day after, most important things you can do, and Roxie's going to touch more on this, is monitoring your dashboard and the campaign progress. Also using this first-time donor call list to follow up with any new donors who are coming into your organization. You'll be able to see if you use that Giving Tuesday Now campaign, if they're from Giving Tuesday Now, along with the date here. You can assign phone calls to other people at your organization, again, to the volunteers who are saying they want to help, to board members, create a task, and it will email them automatically. Also, those notifications that are coming in from online donations, use those as a driver for contacting your donors. And then emailing or posting an update on social media throughout the day. Keep the information coming. Let your supporters know how you're doing, what they can do, how you're progressing throughout the day. And then don't forget to say thank you. So once your event is wrapped up, making those phone calls, and sending out additional thank you emails, letters. Don't forget them after the Giving Tuesday Now day is over. Please make sure to to show gratitude after the event has ended. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Roxie and help answer any questions you guys may have chatted in.
All right. So thank you guys so much. I want to spend a little bit of time today looking at the Bloomerang mobile app and how you can use it during Giving Tuesday Now to keep track of how you're doing that day, as well as kind of use it to thank your donors. A couple of notes about the mobile app first. So once again, the mobile app is just the same database as your existing web. So it's all the same information. Mobile is just a bit of a different way to access it. And so for Giving Tuesday Now, we're envisioning the mobile app to be more of a day-to-day monitoring tool, not necessarily a setup tool for Giving Tuesday Now. So you'll do all of the wonderful suggestions that Jess made in web, and then use mobile day of to potentially help you monitor it. And with that, I'm going to jump on in. Whew, words. So one of the things that we're excited for the mobile app and think that will be really helpful for Giving Tuesday Now is monitoring your progress. And one way that you can do that in particular deals with campaigns. So when you first log into the mobile app, you're going to come to your dashboard. You'll have metrics and you'll have an activity feed, which I'll cover later. Then you'll have your donor retention wheel information, your raise this week, month, year, all of that information as well. And if we scroll down, we have your campaigns. So one thing that mobile is doing that I think is really cool is we're actually showing many different campaigns all together, so that way you can compare. So in this situation, let's say we're preparing for Giving Tuesday Now, and you can come through here and remove the annual campaign and only show then your Giving Tuesday Now campaign, as well as any previous campaigns that you had related to Giving Tuesday. So that way you can see your progress over the day and compare it to how you did in previous years. And if you wanted to as well, you can also view it as dollars or % of your goal. That's available as well. The next thing is if we jump over here to this activity feed. So this is a really cool tool. I'm personally very excited about it, thinking back to my days helping out with nonprofits. So this is basically a running feed of all transactions that come into your database. So you can literally just sit here, you can refresh, and then watch the donations come rolling in over the day. So then what's really cool about this is you can use this to look for really important donors and just keep a general idea of what's going on. So you can scan here, see, oh, there's a $500 donation from Jane Doe. Oh, there's 25 donation from John Doe, her brother. Brilliant. So it really gives you a good idea of watching and how your day is going, but then you can use this to thank your donors, which I'll go into in a little bit. The other thing that I think will be really helpful from just a pure monitoring standpoint is something new to mobile that we are doing called favorites. So this is basically a really easy way for you individually, so not necessarily the organization, but you individually to mark what donors are important to you. So let's say, for example, Jane Doe is a really important donor. So I can come in here, I can search for Jane. There she is right there. And what I can do is I can tap on this little star icon here. And what that did is that added her to my favorites. So for example, in this database, my favorites are different than Jess's. That adds this lovely little star here for her. But then that also adds her to this favorites list that is right there immediately when you go to search for a constituent. So this is really helpful for your top donors that you want to check in on. Or if you have, for example, a peer-to-peer campaign set up, you can favorite your peer-to-peer fundraisers. So that way you can very quickly go to their profile, access their timeline, and then see how many soft credits have come in, and basically therefore how helpful they've been to your Giving Tuesday Now progress. So just mentioned how critical it is to thank your donors, right? You want them to feel special. You want them to really know that you appreciate what they're doing for you. And we've worked really hard at the mobile app to make sure that thank you calls are very easy to make. So one of the ways that you can use this for Giving Tuesday Now is if we come back to this activity feed and we're watching the donations come through. Great, this is awesome. Now we go through and we realize, oh, there's this $500 donation from Jane Doe. And that's a really important donation for you guys, either because it's a really large donation or Jane Doe is one of those constituents that you wanted to keep an eye on. What we can do is you can actually go ahead and click on the donation and look at all of the different donation information. So you can go, okay, there's the amount, figure out the fund, anything else you want to know from this transaction. And if you click on this constituent row, that actually directly takes you to this constituent's profile. And what you can do from here is use this icon right here to do what we like to call quick contacting. So basically this gives you a really quick way to access all of the primary contact information for this constituent. So I can go ahead and directly call, text, email, or if I have an address on file, potentially get directions for this individual. And when you tap on this, it will actually go ahead, help you by opening up your phone app, your email app, things like that, and allow you to very immediately show your thanks to this donor. So this is not a real phone, so it does not like it when I attempt to call or email people, but I can text. So basically what happens is I come in here, I can tap the text button, it'll autofill all of her information, and then I can go ahead and fill out the text and send it to her. When I return back to Bloomerang, I'm actually prompted to create an interaction automatically because we know that you've reached out to this person in some way. So what I can do here is I can tap to create an interaction, go ahead and fill out all the information. And what's really helpful and helps you be very quick with recording information is we've stolen some functionality from Apple to allow you to dictate notes. So if I go ahead and I tap this, it'll go ahead and start recording my voice, recording what I'm saying, so that way I can just simply talk to Bloomerang and tell them what happened with that phone call. And I always feel very awkward when it starts recording my text, so I'm gonna be done with that one. But it's just a way to kind of speed up the process. And then you can save that interaction and then move on to the next. The other fun thing that you can do with during Giving Tuesday is you can use non-traditional communication, right? So on Giving Tuesday, there's going to be a flood of emails sent out from a lot of nonprofits. And using some of these non-traditional communication methods will really help you kind of break through that wave of information for donors who are really special. So as I just showed, you can actually initiate a text out of Bloomerang and use that as a really good way to kind of reach out to them and talk to some of the donors that you have a really strong relationship with. So the one kind of caution I have with that is you've got to do what your donors are comfortable with. So a good rule of thumb is if you would normally text this donor for some other reason, like they're a board member or they're part of a committee, something like that, then texting is a perfectly acceptable way to reach out to them. But if your donor does not want to be texted, then probably stick to things like personal emails. So that's something else that you can do is send personal emails to intentionally thank them for their gift. And when you do that, just make sure to BCC Bloomerang so that interaction is automatically sent right back into your database. And once again, this is all based off of what your donors are comfortable with. You really want to communicate with them in a way that makes them feel very comfortable with you. That's kind of the best way I can phrase it. And something that I am personally really interested in, and I've seen a lot of our initial mobile users do here recently, is combine the power of the new mobile app, which has only been out for about a month now, with the existing functionality in web. So a couple of things that we've seen people use this for, they can write an email, so you're using your computer to write the email, but then you have your donor's profile open on your phone. You can call a donor from your phone using that quick contact information and record the interaction, things like that. But you can have a transaction open in Bloomerang on web. So that way you can have that information easily accessible. And what I see to be most helpful actually deals with reporting. So you can create a report online, filter it out to have, for example, a call list. So if you're doing one of those thankathons that Jess mentioned, or calling volunteers, things like that, you can create that report online, but then make the phone call and quickly add interactions from your phone. So I think that's where one of the real values of the mobile app comes into play, is when you can combine web and mobile and use them together to really make your fundraising efficient. So that kind of covers what I had to talk about for the mobile app. But I just wanted to kind of reiterate, we're trying to help make you and make your Giving Tuesday Now experience easier and effective. So you don't have to do everything. Do what makes sense for you and your organization and what your goals are. But we do encourage you to find a balance with the communication, at least. So don't necessarily overwhelm your donors. Try to reach out to them in the communication methods that they most appreciate. But we do find that that pre-email, as well as kind of a midday update, usually works pretty well. And what's always super important is that donor retention. So don't forget about longer term follow-up, especially with those first-time donors. And the first-time donor call list is going to be really, really helpful for that. And so then kind of pulling it all together with some additional resources. So basically this is something available on Bloomerang's website. So if you go to bloomerang.co/GivingTuesday, you can actually see a bunch of the other resources that we now have available, as well as if you subscribe, then we'll actually give you notifications when we add any new content to that page. So we've got a ton of really cool information in there, so I really encourage you guys to check it out. And that covers kind of what we wanted to talk about today. I know we ran a minute over. Terribly sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Rox. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck on all of your Giving Tuesday efforts. And just as a kind of final goodbye, any last thoughts from Jessica or Roxie?
No, just stay safe and let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you with your fundraising efforts during this time. You can email product@bloomerang.co or chat into support. We definitely want to help you and support you however we can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.